Missouri Nation, it is going to be an amazing night tonight. Ryan Williams, good to see you. Russ Everson, Devin, James, great to see you. Wilhelm, Andre, as always, my friend, great to see you. Fellow Floridian. Alex, I know you've got Photoshop open, you're working on some memes over there as well. Michael, great to see you. Aaron, Anna, username TCB, great to see you on there as well. Hey, John in PA. Hey, AJ Martin, great to see you all. Hey, we're diving into really a conversation about some low-level weather, about understanding how to make good decisions looking at that weather. We're gonna look at an NTSB report, and tonight, we're giving away that foamy aircraft. Is that the right term? I'm a really, really bad RC pilot, so I can fly a regular 172, but an RC 172, it's tricky. Anyways, if you haven't checked in, check in where you're watching from, just like Frankie just did. He's in Vegas. Check in the chat. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Three minutes, MzeroA Nation, and we will be live. Check in the chat. Where are you watching from? Tim Marhoover, that's all I want to know. Glenn, good evening to you. Allah, good to see you. Congrats on all your success. Everyone, Chip is here. Brett Favre's favorite photographer. Great to see you, Chip. Username GS Huff, great to see you. Username Vantage Point Video in Lubbock, Texas. I've been to Lubbock. Have you, Magda? I've been to Lubbock. Desiree, great to see you. Tom as well. Ahmed says Cessna or Piper. I mean, there's a Cessna on the screen right now, so, you know. Mike Schultz, great to see you. Scott, Pippa Green, great to see you. Ahmed, Telvin, awesome. Hey, Hobie, hey, Johnny. We are 2 minutes away from getting started. We're gonna be diving into THAAD indicator. We're gonna be diving into some low-level weather. We're gonna be working to make some smart go and no-go decisions, because we can make you a good pilot, but we have to help you make good decisions. And that's why Jamie Shannon is here, and Brian Eckert are here, and Thomas. In North Dakota, is it cold there, Thomas? I feel like it's getting cold in Florida. I can only imagine what North Dakota's like. Great to see you. Captain Shaquille, Morgan, Love your courses too, Morgan. Great to see you. Awesome, Ella. Great. Says it got interrupted by the live notification while you were studying for instrument. It makes good sense. It makes good sense. So, Valera, great to see you. Debbie, great to see you. Christopher, hey, Don Gibson, as always. I knew Don Gibson wouldn't miss. All right, I'm gonna zip it for a bit. You keep checking in the chat where you're watching from, and we'll be rolling here in, what does that timer say? About 1 minute. MzeroA Online Ground School, Jason Schappert here. So thankful, so blessed. Y'all are taking time out of your, is it a Thursday? I lost track of the days. They sneak up on you. Happy Thursday evening. I'm sure it's past your bedtime for some of you, but I'm thankful you're taking time from your studies and from everything else to find ways to better yourselves as pilots. That is what we are focused on here today. I was saying hi to some of you in the chat. Let's head back over to that chat and say hi. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Ruben. There's Pete. Pete, we're going to be talking about you. Pete Schuster, we're talking about you tonight. So just get Carrie, get everybody ready. We're talking about you tonight. Bill Linfield. I mean, we could talk about Bill, but everyone wants to talk about Robin. That's who we really want to talk about, right? So, hey to you and Robin, great to see you. Neil, Telvin, Mr. Vargas, good to see you all on here as well. Rob in Melbourne. I saw someone checking in from Ocala earlier too. I was literally in Ocala today. Anyways, so thankful. Rory, what time is it in Sydney, Australia? Rory, are you up really early or is it like normal hours? I can't even fathom that. Right now. Hey, Jared, great to see you on here as well. Hey, Josh, long time no see in Silicon Valley. Hey, we are talking low-level weather here today. We're going to be looking at it from the frame of an NTSB report. And they're going to be teeing it up, obviously, with some great education. And then, of course, we're giving away that foamy aircraft. Hopefully, you've already entered. Look at this thing. Look, you ready for this? Hold on. I gotta. You lift with your legs. You can't lift with your back. Look at this thing. It takes up the whole screen. I didn't even take it out of this giant box, but you're getting this giant box, and inside this giant box is the foamy aircraft 172. Do I have any RC flyers out there? Type in me in the chat if you are an RC flyer. I would like to be an RC flyer, but I'm a really, really bad RC pilot. I can fly a 172. Remote control 172, that's tough. When it's going away from me, I can handle it. But man, you start getting some coming back towards you and everything's opposite. Will I ever get used to that? I don't know. It seems awfully true. I crash a lot. And Magda just told me to stop buying them eventually. It was getting expensive. So we slowed down on buying foamy aircraft. We bought one for you guys to give away one lucky winner with that. The URL to sign up is MzeroA Contest, MzeroAcontest.com to get you signed up for that. And maybe you'll be a better foamy pilot than myself. Hey, before we dive into this, please make sure if you're watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, you subscribe on YouTube, you like this page, or throw this a like as well on Facebook. It means the absolute world to us, really keeps us going. I hope you realize MzeroA is so much more than just some great YouTube videos, some great Facebook videos. Hopefully you know it's an amazing online ground school for your written tests, for your check ride, and making that safe real-world pilot. Before we dive into this, I always have to ask the question when we do a public live stream like this, do I have any first-timers on here? Type in me in the chat. If this is your first time, like maybe you've seen us on YouTube or something like that, but this is your first time like hanging out live here, type in me in the chat so I can give you a little shout out as well. I mean, Drew says, love you, Jason. Drew, love you back, man. Anyways, Lauren, hey Lauren, great to see you. Are we giving away one of Jason's crashed ones? You are an engineer by trade, so you probably would be able to fix it. Adam, look at all these newbies on here. Oh, there's Doug Martin. Now I put it all together. Doug Martin, great to see you on here. Michael, great to see you. Ryan Williams, awesome, awesome. Drew, so good, so good. Many. Joe Middleton, awesome, awesome. Well, great to see you all on here. Well, I asked about the first timers. It's only fair. I ask about my other favorite people, and that is our online ground school members. Where are our online ground school members who are hanging out? I was talking about Pete earlier and some others. Where are my online ground school members at? I know Al was just sharing. He was studying for he just passed his private. Might have taken a day off and is already into instrument, was studying, and then ba-boom, got a live notification. So we're hanging out. There are the online ground school members. So good to see my ground school members on here as well. Yes, Mr. Vargas doesn't miss the webinar. I can be a testimony for that one. Coach Ray says him times 10. If you only knew, it's probably times 12, actually, because he gets tired of seeing me. Coach Ray edits all these videos, all the social videos that you see. There's Bill Linfield. Again, did you say hi to Robin? I gave you that. And we're Costco members now, so hopefully that's helping the retirement. I don't know if you heard. Hey, if you're not an online ground school member, please check it out. Head on over to MzeroATrial.com. MzeroATrial.com. Take a 2-week trial, gives you access to all the courses, a few lessons in each course, so you can check that out as well. So thankful for you all. It's just a blessing to get to serve you all. You know, my prayer with the MzeroA team as my witness before every video is to save just one life. It's a weird thing to pray, I guess, and a weird stat to track, but it's something we're really adamant about, and that is my goal here today. My goal is also to honor your time. I know it's late for many of you. We had a full day today. I put like 3 or 4 hours on the airplane, so if I look a little tired, I am a little tired. So we're going to get through this together here. All I ask for is full-out participation on your part. As you can see, the chat is up there. If you have a question, you ask. If I ask a question, I ask that you play full out. If I ask a question and you don't know the answer, I ask that you have the humility to say, hey, Jason, I don't know, or put a question mark in the chat or whatever it is. When I'm looking this way, I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at Doug Martin. We did meet at Oshkosh. You're right, Doug Martin. I can see the profile picture. We have the same haircut. I get it. Good to see you here. Victor, Ryan, awesome, awesome. Okay, so now that we're playing full out, I'm going to ask that of the couple hundred people watching this between YouTube and Facebook, that you would step back for a second in the humility corner. Let's set any pride aside here, and I want to ask a question of you all. Who here, by typing in me in the chat, has ever scared themselves in an airplane? By typing in me in the chat, if this applies to you, who has ever scared themselves in an airplane? Like you did it, not like someone else scared you, not, you know, that airline scared you. You scared yourself in an airplane. That's what I want to know. Let's see the me's coming. There's a lot of me's coming. There's a lot of humility in the chat here today. Thank you. Thank you for that humility. Doug said, OMG, me. Listen, and we all have stories, right? All those me's could go on to then tell the stories. Well, that's really going to be our focus here today. By the way, I saw a bunch of you asking, where do we sign up for the contest? MzeroAcontest.com. Thank you for the team putting it in the chat, MzeroAcontest.com. So thank you for stepping into the humility corner. It's very, very clear that many of you are humble enough to share that. And we learn from that. You know, in aviation, I always give the analogy, it's not like driving a car where I get in a jam, I can pull over and you call AAA or Geico or whomever, and someone comes and helps you. The State Farm Road Ranger comes and helps you. Like, it's not always that way in aviation. We don't always get a second chance. We don't always get a pause button. We don't always get the next off-ramp just to pull over, right? We have to continue to make smart decisions. And this is why I like to look at education from the standpoint of NTSB reports sometimes. And I don't like talking about NTSB reports. This one in particular does involve 2 fatalities. So I would just ask that we're, and this is a fairly recent accident, by the way, I would ask that we are respectful of and to the deceased and their families and everything else. And we look at this more so from the perspective of what can we learn from this? Because you are going to see some red flags. You're going to see some low-level weather and some high-level weather, for that matter, that would exceed many people's personal minimums here. And if these 2 pilots were alive to be here today, I would imagine they would also have the humility to type in me in the chat, just like you did earlier, share about how they scared themselves in an airplane, because this flight would have been perhaps exactly that. If you've been following MzeroA for any amount of time, you know I always say you can tell where an NTSB report is going usually by the first sentence. And this one is certainly no exception. So before we show it to them, I'm going to read you the first sentence, and then I want you to put in the chat, where do you think this is going? Or maybe just in one word or a few words, what is going to be a contributing factor to this accident? Or what jumps out at you by reading this first sentence? Literally, I'm not making this up. I'm not like a la carte cherry picking from this NTSB report. This is the first sentence of the final NTSB report. The pilot and passenger departed during the middle of the day for a nearly 7-hour instrument flight rules cross-country flight with 1 fuel stop. Period. End of sentence. Okay. What jumps to your mind when you hear that? The pilot and the passenger departed on an IFR cross-country that they estimated at 7 hours and had 1 fuel stop. Put it in the chat, I want to see. Bill says, too long. Yeah, I get it. Carlos said maybe some bad planning. Enderlin said no. Yeah, 7 hours. I have done that once, coming back from Oshkosh actually, but we had 3 of us in the plane. We were just taking turns. Someone would get a back seat rest with all of that. Exhaustion, no buffer, thunderstorms, 3-hour roll. I'm just reading the chat here. My buddy Jer, who's an amazing instructor, said fatigue, yeah, exhaustion, fuel issues, or some other ones coming in, spatial disorientation, fatigue setting in, too long. Yeah, is there proper planning? Well, let's look at the second sentence of our NTSB report and see where it goes from here. Here's our second sentence. During the fuel stop, so we made it to our 1 fuel stop, the pilot reported to an airport employee that he was trying to time his flight to arrive at the destination between 2 thunderstorms. Now where does your mind go? I left in the middle of the day, so I don't know, after lunch, let's say, for a 7-hour flight. So this will extend into about now, at least for me, geographically, about 8 o'clock. Possibly later. It's going to be dark no matter really where you're at and what time of year. IFR, 1 fuel stop, I have a problem with that one. And then sometimes these phrases come out of our mouths as pilots. Yeah, I'm trying to time it, where I end up in this hole in between these 2 storms. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but a big premise of this presentation tonight is words are powerful. Phrases, strings of words together even more so. If you ever find yourself confessing these types of red flags, I'm looking for a hole in the weather. I got to time this so I end up between these 2 storm cells. By the way, I'm going to be arriving at night. In between 2 storm cells, arriving at night, let me tell you, that's a challenging thing to time, because as we're going to learn later today, radar is not always the most reliable. So we're going to have to look at these other things. On to our third sentence, not making this up. You ready? More like our third paragraph. There's a few sentences here. Prior to the accident, the airplane had ongoing autopilot altitude hold control issues despite several recent maintenance corrective actions. The pilot was aware that the autopilot issue persisted, and he told a friend a few days before the accident flight but he felt comfortable hand flying the airplane during the long cross-country flight. Team, we are now going to hand fly a 7-hour IFR cross-country. Can I lean on the Mr. CEO of Costco, Bill Linfield? I added a title for you there, Bill, who just did some serious hand flying in an airplane. And Bill, what did you feel like? And yours wasn't 7 hours, but what was your hand flying those 3-hour legs like? He bought a new to him, older 172 with no autopilot and had to hand fly. Who's ever hand flown a 2 or a 3-hour leg before? It is a mental marathon, isn't it? And now we know we're talking thunderstorms, so I know it wasn't like trim it and forget it kind of weather. I know they were constantly adjusting and probably in turbulence and everything else. Like Gregory said, you start dealing with these red flags that you see, 7 hours, IFR, hand flying, thunderstorms, gonna get dark, trying to thread between 2 thunderstorms. And unfortunately, the story continues here. The flight departed and entered the destination airport area, right? So we left that fuel stop. We are now in the area. So we are 7 hours into this thing, trying to shoot the approach without incident. Air traffic control cleared the pilot for a straight-in ILS approach and advised him, listen to this, that the cloud ceiling was 200 feet above ground level, which of course, as we know as instrument pilots, or my instrument pilots know, that is the decision height. Like that is it. You are literally at minimums. It was the decision height for the straight-in ILS the pilot was about to perform. So if you were wondering like, well, was this, I know he filed IFR, but was it really IFR? When you show up and it's a 200-foot overcast layer and you're hand flying after 7 hours at night, threading between thunderstorms, fatigue and exhaustion, like Jer said, really starts to set in here. And yet our story continues. The pilot told the controller that the airplane was established on the final approach course. However, between the initial approach fix and the final approach segment, the airplane's altitude and flight path showed deviations, and the pilot was cautioned on those deviations by the controller. Additionally, the airplane crossed the initial approach fix about 500 feet below the specified cross altitude. So he's 500 feet below the altitude that he should be at the initial approach fix. And that problem of being low compounds because he's then about 700 feet below the final approach fix altitude. Ground school members and MzeroA Nation, are you going to even see the glide slope when you're 700 feet below the altitude you're supposed to be at the final approach fix? Picking up a third of the way down your screen, as the airplane continued in the final approach segment, continuous deviations to the left and right, of course. So we're 700 feet too low, we continue to descend, and now we're doing these left and right S-turns. I think fatigue and exhaustion and spatial disorientation and nighttime and everything else has compounded and caught up here. Subsequently descended below the decision height for the approach, so below the 200 feet and impacted heavily wooded terrain about 1.55 nautical miles from the runway threshold. They were at an 18 to 20 degree descent profile. The weather observed at the destination airport had deteriorated significantly after the pilot departed for the last leg of the flight, and the weather was worse than expected forecast conditions, period. Can we stop there just 1 second? By typing in me in the chat, and I know you all watch MzeroA videos, you do more than enough, you get briefings on briefings, and you know all this stuff here. But who knows what I'm talking about by typing in me in the chat when I say that sometimes what you read in a METAR or a TAF or, gosh, even a PIREP sometimes, or a prog chart is totally different than what actually happens. Who has ever been flying and the TAF said it was going to be this, but you show up and you go, absolutely not. And that could be for better or worse. The TAF says it's going to rain all day, and you're looking around going, where is it? and the TAF says it's going to be VFR all day, and you show up to the airport at lunchtime and the beacon's on because the field's IFR, and you go, where did this come from? That is how weather works. And NOAA gets it wrong sometimes. The FAA gets it wrong sometimes. Look at all the me's coming in the chat. Sometimes we get it wrong. So I want to read that sentence here again, and I know it's late for some of you, but I really need this sentence to just sink in and add it to your internal flight bag here, just to know that you can make smart decisions based on weather, gut feelings, and what the weather may or may not do. Let's read that from the top one more time here. The weather observed at the destination airport, that was the 200-foot overcast, had deteriorated significantly. So maybe when he left, it was not 200-foot overcast. I find it hard to believe. This is a 182 we're flying, by the way. I don't think there's a person on this webinar in your airplane, unless you're a professional pilot perhaps for a major airline, that is going to leave an airport to purposefully fly into 200-foot overcast. I personally would not do that. Right? Today I shot an approach and broke out 1,100 feet, and I was like, that's more than enough for me. So it deteriorated significantly after they departed for the last leg of the flight, and the weather was worse than expected forecast conditions. Let that sink in. During the approach, the controller advised the pilot of the low ceiling and visibility and advised that other nearby airports were reporting better weather conditions. I have a thought. Sorry, I want to hit that thought too. Why did the weather get worse? And I don't know. I could do more research on this and find out. But what phenomenon, MzeroA Nation, typically happens in the summertime, like this occurred, when night falls in? I've got a temperature, and I've got a dew point. And what is the dew point? The dew point is when that temperature is reached, there's moisture in the air, it becomes visible. Well, that dew point's going to hang out here, and as it cools and that temperature gets closer to that dew point, what happens? That moisture becomes visible. Maybe, and I'm hypothesizing, but maybe this could have been forecast better. Maybe they would have said, wow, it's 6 p.m., the air's going to keep cooling, and the temperature and dew point are only 3 degrees apart right now. Have you ever thought about that? Like, you read a METAR and you breeze through it so quickly. Oh, temperature 1.5, dew point 1.2, and you just go on altimeter and you read it. But do you really process what that weird looking improper fraction really means on the METAR, or are you so focused on ceiling and winds and everything else, not realizing that that temperature and that dew point is on that METAR for a very specific reason, that hey, you could be showing up to some fog here. Stop just breezing over this sort of stuff. Temperature and dew point is so important. It's not just for your performance charts. It is one of those key performance indicators for where the weather could be going as well, at least from a visibility standpoint. So let's go back. I'm sorry to keep jumping around, but I wanted to hit that thought there. Let's pick up from here, during the approach. During the approach, the controller advised the pilot of the low ceiling and visibility and advised that other nearby airports were reporting better weather conditions. The pilot responded that he would continue the approach. Review of the weather at the alternate airport, they did file an alternate airport for the flight, which was about 25 to 30 minutes away from the planned destination, listen to this, found that visual flight rules conditions, it was VFR, were occurring during the time surrounding the accident. There's a saying, and Jerry, you hinted at it. There's a saying in aviation, and it's a little eerie and creepy, so I apologize for sharing it, but it's so true. Pilots die in IFR conditions, but they get buried in VFR conditions, right? People kill themselves like in crummy weather, and then for the funeral service, it's usually a beautiful day. And that's creepy to share, and it gives me goosebumps even thinking about it. You don't need to push it in this kind of weather. You have nothing to prove to anyone. You never have to be anywhere. And I hope that what this is ingraining in you is when a controller calls up and says, hey, Jason, I got a VFR airport just 25 minutes away. You go, sign me up. You don't go, I've been flying 7 hours. My wife and my family and my husband, whomever, is waiting for me at that other airport. Everyone's expecting me to be there. That's where my hotel is, and I got the non-refundable hotel. That's where my non-refundable rental car is. I don't want to lose that money, right? I've already got the line guys waiting for me. They know I'm coming. Silly stuff, right? Really silly stuff. I hope that you'll have the humility, just like we started this webinar off with a humility exercise. I hope you have the humility to say, I'll listen to control. If they say they got VFR, give me VFR. Because I've been flying 7 hours, and that's all I want, is to find VFR. Last little bit from this NTSB report, and then we'll hit the point home. Then we'll give away the foamy aircraft, and I'll teach one other thing here. Review of the pilot's logbook found that he had logged less than 2 hours of night experience in the last 12 months from the accident. Had logged no night flights in the preceding 90 days, which would not make him legal for carrying that passenger, by the way. The pilot had logged 11 instrument approaches in the 6 months that preclude the accident, which is decent. The pilot's total actual instrument experience was 32 hours, but only 2.5 hours was at night. Night actual instrument experience. This is interesting, and I'm not going to hit home on this too much, but it's just interesting to me. In addition, the pilot was disapproved twice, meaning failed, testing for his instrument airplane rating because, according to the check ride evaluator, became distracted and lost situational awareness, and listen to this, both times, had a full-scale deflection of the glide slope during an instrument approach. Although the pilot was approved for an instrument rating on his 3rd attempt, he likely did not possess the experience or ability to successfully complete the night instrument approach in low instrument conditions. These are the NTSB's words, not mine. But he failed 2 instrument check rides, being too low on the glide slope. And what happened this time as well? Too low on the glide slope and found trees. It's important to know our weaknesses, but it's even more important to work on them. And there are many other factors with this. So I want to ask you a question. Then I want to geek out on some teaching. Then we'll give away the foamy aircraft, and I'll have everybody out of here in the next 15 minutes. I promise. I'm going to try to go through this here. I want to ask a question though. Not just from, and you can pull from the story I just told you. You can pull from this NTSB report. But I would encourage you to just pull from even beyond what we just learned here or just read about. What are your red flags? What are your red flags? I once heard someone say this, it's only green on the radar. Famous words. I've flown in worse weather before, or there's a hole in the weather, or not even weather related. Oh, the plane just always makes that noise. I want you to start, and put it in the chat, what are some phrases that you've heard, some phrases that you've said yourself, that made you step back and go, wait a second, like, I'm about to hurtle a hunk of metal through the sky at 90 to 100 knots. Like, let's step back for a second. Have you ever found yourself pre-flight and going, oh man, I'm already 20 minutes late. Or everyone's expecting me, right? What are some phrases, and there were phrases used here too. I'm trying to time my arrival between 2 thunderstorms. What are these key phrases that when you heard them, you might say them, or you hear them, that you just know, right? To watch for. Dave G said, this sounds like the start of an NTSB report. That really did happen. Yeah, when there's thunderstorms in the area, when we're trying to thread that needle. It was a long time ago, but we were flying to the AOPA fly-in. And I remember the controller saying, hey, I just cleared another airplane through a hole in the weather, and I think you can do it too. And I thought, you're sitting in some big cozy building somewhere. You're not in this airplane with me, and you think I can do it? Would you feel the same way if you were sitting next to me and you saw what I saw out there? I don't want to fly through any hole in the weather, right? What are some other things? Trying to thread a needle. Yeah, Suzanne, that's right. Trying to thread a needle to get right through this weather. Andre, it's just an alternator light. It's just an erroneous reading. That always happens. I flew with a gentleman once, and I noticed the oil pressure was a little bit low. And I knew it was an older engine. And he just goes, it's always that low. But is it? Because one day it's going to be enough, right? You've got to think about it. I love username MeTyler21 said, I've got it, right? That's like a macho hazard set. I got this under control, don't worry. Think about your, maybe I'm making this too complex. Think about your landings. I can save it. Who's ever said that? I know I'm not the only one, or thought that in your mind. I can save it. I'm a little high, but I can save it. I'm a little low, but I can. Who's ever tried to save a landing? And if you could step back into my humility corner again, what was the result of you trying to save that landing? Was it smooth like butter, or did you give it the old Piper plop? Like what actually happened when you tried to, quote, save it? Because I've had that thought. I can get down. I can save it. I can cut my base in front of that traffic on final. Like, these are the sort of things. Look at Kenneth's comment. Don't worry, I have plenty of fuel. You can't make, there is no aerial refueling, to my knowledge, of 172s, with the exception of that world record that they did, the planes up in the Vegas airport. These are the things I need you to key in on. It's that inner dialogue that you're having with yourself. I can save the landing. It's only green on the radar. There's a hole in the radar. And actually, I want to end here kind of just geeking out on some radar stuff that I was just teaching to the ground school members, and I dedicate this portion of the webinar now to Pete, because Pete came up with a great acronym. You guys realize if you are trying to thread through a hole in the radar, did you know a fast radar return is considered 8 minutes? A fast radar return is considered 8 minutes. So if you are looking for a hole in the weather, a good return is 8 minutes. You are looking at 8-minute-old data at best case scenario. And that doesn't sound bad, but did we not just talk about how quickly weather changes? I saw, Rob, in your comment, how quickly it changes in Michigan. 8 minutes could be all the difference of that hole is there, that hole is not. Is it a 172 shaped hole, or is it gone, right? And that's probably not legal to fly through there anyways, depending on what kind of flight plan you're flying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even our radar has limitations. Can I teach you something real quick? I want to draw something real quick. I just taught this to the online ground school members, and again, if you're not an online ground school member, I hope you'll become one, MzeroATrial.com. You know there's 3, and I'll be done right after this, we'll give away the foamy aircraft. There are 3 issues with radar. There are 3 issues with radar. The first is, I'm fine with it there. The first is attenuation. Attenuation is our first error. And here's how, first off, a little lesson. Here's how radar works. The ground school members were making fun of me because they said my radar looked like a mushroom. Does it look like a mushroom? Kinda. That's my radar. All right. How radar works, we've got this storm cloud out here, okay? How radar works is it sends out its signal, sound effects are free, and it comes right back. It reflects off of it, and based on the intensity, how much of that reflection comes back, that's how we determine our radar, if this is green, if this is red, if this is pink, yellow, whatever. That's how that works, okay? Let's switch gears here now. Same scenario, but let's do a top-down view real quick, and I'm going to explain attenuation. My radar is right here at this star. Top-down bird's eye view. I've got this cell here. I've got another cell back behind it here. However, in this cell, there's some nasty rain. There's hail. There's all this sort of stuff. How a radar signal works and what attenuation actually what occurs is that radar signal goes out, and the rain will absorb a little bit of that radar signal. The hail will really stop that radar signal. So it doesn't continue on through. It just reflects back. And this guy behind it would never get detected. So you could be going, I'm just flying around, minding my own business, me and my buddy Andre flying along, and I come around here and I go, well, who are you? I didn't expect you to be here because I never saw you on radar. Now, thankfully, we have about 140 radar stations, so in a perfect world, you have another radar station over here that will report and give you a more three-dimensional picture. But you need to always have in your mind that what you see may not be the complete picture. If you have a really nasty guy here, you could have something else hiding on the back side of it, all right? We're going to turn this into an NFT, and we're going to auction it off to the Bob Ross Foundation because it's a lot of love went into that art. Drawing is not my thing, nor is flying foamy aircrafts, as we shared. All right, our next one here is called beam blockage. Beam blockage, back to our radar that looks like a mushroom. Beam blockage is exactly what it sounds like. I've got a big mountain, looks like Florida. I got a storm over here. Beam blockage, again, limitation of radar. My signal goes out, it hits this mountain, it doesn't make it. Here I am flying along, and this guy becomes a towering cumulonimbus guy. He's kind of on the screen, sorry, Magda. And I'm flying along and go, who are you? I never saw you on the radar because my radar was suffering from beam blockage. The last one here, these are the three issues with radar, is called ground clutter. You have probably seen ground clutter before. Ground clutter, because remember, radar is just reflection, essentially. Ground clutter is when your radar reflects off of buildings, terrain, or even the ground itself. If you've ever gotten up early and peeked at radar and you saw something like this, all that kind of blue and gray, and there's some, not really green, more like teal in there as well. This, where's my cursor? This is all ground clutter. This is not real. The problem here is when real weather moves through, as you can see, it kind of dies off here because the ground clutter is blocking. This is all one big continuous storm, but you actually can't see it because of the ground clutter. So you could be flying along and go, oh, there's a hole in this weather. And let me tell you, there is not a hole in this weather. You've got ground clutter from, I can't tell what city this is, but from all the buildings and everything else blocking this thing out. This is ground clutter. So as Pete famously said on the member webinar, every Tuesday I do a webinar with our online ground school members, we were teaching about the three limitations of radar. And this is your ADS-B, this is your FIS-B, this is your Sirius XM. I don't care. It all works doesn't all work the same way, but it all has these limitations here as well. Pete came up with the ABCs: attenuation, beam blockage, clutter, ground clutter in that case. I thought, wow, Pete just got a whole new name. I mean, it is so good. So that's, again, it's a little more technical than that. That's not going to be like on a private pilot check ride. Probably maybe on a commercial check ride. That's more like ATP kind of stuff there, okay? But that's what you have to watch for. I like Anna's comment too, to be mindful of outflow boundaries with new development, right? If I'm looking at data that 8 minutes old is considered good, well, we have a problem there, don't we? If 8 minutes old is considered fast, you're looking at old data and weather builds so quickly. So, with that, MzeroA Nation, I'm going to ask a simple question before I give away the foamy aircraft. Did you learn anything today? Give me like a hand raise emoji or something. Did you learn anything this evening? You know, the goal is to save just one life. And I hope that we did that here today. It is time. I got a few announcements here, but it is time to give away. I gotta like work out before picking this thing up here. It is time to give away this guy. He's made in China. He's a giant foamy aircraft, Cessna 172. We're gonna be giving this away. We're gonna be shipping this out. If you came in late, that's what we're doing. Recording is available. This will post here a few minutes after we hang up here. Before I give this thing away, I have good news. Did you know in-flight coffee is coming back in October? Who's excited for Saturday, in-flight coffee coming back? this October. The 7th, I believe, is the day, Magda. Don't totally hold me to that, but I'm almost positive. It is Saturday, October 7th. In-Flight Coffee is coming back. So looking forward to seeing you all with that one. So anyways, y'all learned something. So good, so good. And excited for In-Flight Coffee. Well, I can imagine so. Hey, now is a good time too. Obviously, I'm about to reveal our winner here, but it is a good time as well to ask questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is. We are here to serve you all. So start putting those in there. I will hang out for a bit and answer some questions. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time to reveal the winner of the Giant Foamy 172. I expect a video of this person flying the 172, probably better than I could. Do we have a drum roll sound? I can do it. I don't know, we don't have a drum roll sound. There's your drum roll sound. And the winner of the Foamy 172, it's going to make a long journey. It's a lady in South Dakota, and her name is Erin Heike? How do you think I did with that? I think I goofed that one up a little bit. In Yanktown, South Dakota. Well, Erin, congratulations. I was going to say I would fly the Foamy aircraft from Florida all the way to South Dakota. Congratulations, Erin, on that. How do you want to handle that? We'll reach out to Erin, or Erin reach out to us? We reach out to us. Oh, we will reach out to Erin. Okay, sorry. My producer in my ear was waving at me here. Erin, the team will reach out to you to get your shipping information. It's a really, really big box, but there is a Foamy 172 controller batteries ready to fly heading your way. So, hey, let's take some questions. Congratulations, and congratulations to everybody. Listen, it's late at night, and you, again, are finding ways just to better yourselves as pilots, and that's pretty cool here. As you all go and type in some questions, I'll stick around for a little bit longer. I'll answer a few questions. I won't be able to get to all of them. I'll answer a few questions here. If you're not a ground school member, again, I encourage you, MzeroATrial.com, private, instrument, commercial, FOI, CFI, for that written test, for that knowledge test, for the check ride, and hopefully, as you've realized, making you that safe real-world pilot, because that's what we are all about. So MzeroATrial.com. All right, Willie Peters asked the question, what is the best way to prepare for the CFI check ride next week? My friend, my favorite check ride to get done. I love making more CFIs. Remember this, my friend Willie, your CFI check ride is really like 2 check rides, because it's for private and commercial. They may ask you, hey, Willie, teach me steep turns. And you go, okay, and you go through all this, and it's great. Okay, that was awesome. Now I'm a commercial pilot, teach me steep turns again. So you have to be able to delineate between those two and bounce between those as well. The other thing is that the oral exam is a marathon. Mine was 4 hours. There's some other recent CFIs on here. They'll maybe chime in. I bet theirs was in the 4 and 5 hour range. We actually split mine up over 2 days. Did the ground portion first, the oral portion, and then the flight portion the next day, because it's such a marathon day. I know some champions out there that can do it all in one day, but it's a lot. Pack snacks, pack water, bring snacks and stuff for your evaluator as well. You don't want them getting hangry on you or anything like that. So please, please, think about that. All right, other questions here, Magda. Matthew asked, does hand flying and real IMC get easier? Yes, but it's never like, it's never something that's you should just be like loosey-goosey with, right? Hand flying IMC is challenging. You should never find yourself just taking it for granted and getting super complacent. You cannot get complacent hand flying in instrument conditions. There's no place for that. If you ever find yourself not getting butterflies when you have to hand fly an IMC, you might want to take some time off of flying because you might have gotten a little bit complacent. It's like, I can't remember who said it, but a famous speaker said, if you're going out in front of a crowd of a couple hundred people and you don't get a little bit nervous, are you really doing the right thing, right? Even before I do a webinar like this, ask anybody, like, a little bit nervous, a little bit focused, or I get quiet, actually, is what I do before something like this, and get very thinking, and that's just how I handle it. So again, it's different. All right, Ahmed said, is the radar delay dependent on altitude, or is the 8 minutes no matter where the clouds are? Yeah, it's going to be dependent on a lot of factors, right? How long it takes to get that return back, but for them to disseminate the data and then send it out as well to us, the pilot, from SiriusXM, from NOAA to SiriusXM to whatever it may be, ADSB, FISB. There's a lot of steps along the way for that radar to get out there. Does it take longer because of altitude? I would imagine a little bit, but not a whole lot. What's going to slow it down, though, is that attenuation where it's going through multiple layers and multiple bits there as well. So awesome. Larry asked a question, what do you think about getting a commercial certificate if I don't have ambitions to fly for hire? Is it worth it? Larry, a good pilot is always learning. And my friend, if that is the next step for you and something you're interested in, even if you don't want to fly for hire, it's going to force you to get better. Now, there are other ways you can get better too, Larry. Do you have your tail wheel? Do you have your seaplane? Do you have your complex endorsement? Like, these are way more affordable ways to be that good pilot who's always learning. But maybe you want to have your commercial. Could it be a fun retirement gig for you in the future? I don't know where you're at in life right now. But if you're trying to be a good pilot who's always learning, I appreciate that. But there are some other fun ways where you can get that done as well here. Let's see. Patrick said, any tips on choosing checkpoints on a sectional chart when flying over nothingness in the desert? Well, Patrick, I can't remember where you're at geographically. Night flying for me, VFR, was never in a straight line. It was airport to airport, city to city, lights to lights, essentially. Don't think you got to treat it just like you do your other VFR cross countries and follow the magenta line and draw a straight line. That's not always the right answer with that one. Let's go find some other questions here as well. Let's see. There's my buddy John Franco. Amazing, amazing Rexair employee. Is there anything to prepare before my first night flight? So John Franco, I have a lot of videos out there on this, but I'll give you the main aspect of it. First off, it's still getting dark a little bit later, 7, 8 o'clock, so make sure you're used to staying up that late. This is late for me right now. It may not be late for you. You want to make sure your eyes truly adjust. Here's what I don't want. When you go out to that airplane, John Franco, make sure you've already gone to the bathroom. Make sure you're ready to go. That after you pre-flight, you're hopping on that airplane. No going from the airplane pre-flight, after your eyes finally adjusted, back in the hangar, you know, in bright lights, or over to the bathroom, or back in the office, back out here again. Your eyes will never adjust. Give your eyes time to adjust and arrive earlier for the pre-flight. Pre-flights take longer at night, and they should. Pre-flights also take longer in the cold, and they probably should, because that's when everyone's rushing to try to get in there as well. A few more questions, then we're going to wrap up here, because I got to get 2 little ones to bed. Michael, any tips for not getting so dizzy when performing steep turns? This is a really great question. I might have a solution for you, and I want to ask a question, Michael. Are you positive, Michael, you are coordinated in your steep turn? Because I really suffered from motion sickness early on. But a lot of my flying was so sloppy and uncoordinated, and that certainly added to it. Now, Florida in August is just hard as well. But in a coordinated steep turn, dizziness, while it could set in, everybody is different, but make sure you're truly coordinated through that steep turn, and you're looking outside and deviating your right amount of attention inside and outside, and see if that helps. Just confirm for me you are coordinated with that, my friend. All right. Anything else out there? Anything else out there? Gregory, I'll take Gregory's question and we'll wrap up. Adjusting eyes for night flight with screens in the glass cockpit. It should dim itself, but if not, you need to know how to manually dim that screen. And I think the auto dimmer doesn't do a good enough job, at least in 2-3 Mike Zulu. So I'm constantly in there like manually dimming it down. And actually I had the mechanic install a dimming switch where I could do exactly that. I bring those screens way, way down. And then the other one that'll get you sometimes is the iPad. You'll click it on and it'll brighten up. So when I click my iPad on, I make sure I'm looking straight ahead. So if it's bright, it just brightens up here, and then it lets the dimmer kind of catch up from there. But the iPad's another one that'll get you. You go turn your screen on and ba-boom, there it is, and it just blinds you again. So don't let the iPad sneak up on you with that one. And Andre, yeah, you do know that story. I was flying up, not your area, but Tallahassee area, 20 years ago probably. So you weren't even alive yet, Andre. So anyways, listen, thank you. Thank you for spending time on your Thursday night with just this amazing family here. You are a part of that MzeroA family. And you know what? Family takes care of family. If there is anything we can do to help make you a safer, smarter pilot, will you please, please, please reach out to us? Whether it's taking a trial, help with it. Even if you're not a customer, like we will help you with whatever you need. Like we are truly here to serve you and serve the aviation community. And I hope that comes across in everything that we do. I'm sorry I didn't get to every question, but I will go back in the morning and read through all the questions again, just so I can get better as well. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember, a good pilot is always learning. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you.